reason stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. I know I'm late. Usually get them done before 1:30 in the afternoon, but I just had a lot of meetings this morning and had a lot of meetings this morning. You could tell I had meetings this morning because I got on a nice shirt. Oh, turn on the fan here. My fan seems to be doing stuff that I don't want it to. The thing is so darn old, though. We used to have these posters in AA, and it was funny. There was this cat, and this cat would be hanging at the edge of the poster, scratch marks all the way down it. And it said, "Everything I ever let go of has scratch marks all over it." And that would be Dion. Hi, Claire. Good to see you. Good to see you. My first meeting was with Aurora Mental Health, and one of the things that I wanted to talk to them about was firing their current director for the detox that they have. But they were one step ahead of me. He's already gone. So that was good news. It means we can move forward. He was a nice enough guy, but he didn't listen, man. He didn't want to listen. He wanted to do things his way, and his ways aren't working. Not in recovery, not a recovering alcoholic, doesn't understand. So they're hiring a new person. I might be involved with some of the hiring process, not sure yet. But our talk is about instead of hiring all these peer people, call the AA hotline. My next meeting was with the commissioner of San Luis Valley. We were talking about opiate abatement, which means prevention. And I was informing them about the Medicaid fraud and stuff going on with some of the people that they're working with. People are quite surprised. We got to be honest. And it's clearly that they were not honest. But we were able to get through some things, and I'm going to be able to help them do some things too with peer support. So yeah, a good day, another accomplished day. We're moving in the right direction. I can't believe how much stuff has already happened in 1 week or in 5 days, but it is happening. Anyway, today we are going to be in the language of the heart, page 102. So if you have that book, you'd like to follow along, please feel free to do so. I will pull out mine. We're going to be talking about crying for the moon. Good afternoon, Leisure. What does it mean, crying for the moon? It means asking for what is unattainable or impossible, is what it means. I looked it up too, so I don't always. I mean, I kind of knew, but I mean, that explains it a little bit better for me. So, all right. Got everything set up here. Ready to go. Good afternoon, Heather. It's good to see you. Oh, seems like I just saw a lot of you in the meeting. What do they say, 102? So this was actually a letter, right? Yep, 102. This was actually a letter to the mother of an alcoholic. So we might as well go ahead and read the whole thing. It's not even it's a little over a full page. I should be able to get enough out of that for us to have a decent daily trudge. But welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'm your host. I will always be your host. I don't know what else to tell you. If you're here, please say hello, whether watching the live or the rewatch. I'm going to try and take this one a little bit slower. I've been going 100 miles an hour all week, and It's time for Dion to slow down a little bit. You can see my cat's shadow on the wall from my thing. That's pretty funny. What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah. Now that you're fed, you don't love me anymore. I see how it works. Oh, cats. Cats are so weird. All right. Love me, pet me, but don't touch me. What do you want from me, cat? What do you want? All right. Letter to the mother of an alcoholic, December 1944. God, it seems like I read this like a year ago. Hi, Amber. Good to see you. Yeah, I say that because we read it a year ago. So, anyway. Dear mother of Jay. And it's just the letter J. We don't know who it actually is. I cannot tell you how poignantly I am stirred by the letter you wrote the grapevine about your alcoholic son. I wish they would have included the letter so we could have a little bit more substance to this, but it's not in here. Just 10 years ago, my own mother, after years of frantic bewilderment, lost hope. Long a chronic drinker, I had come to the jumping off place. A very good doctor had pronounced the grim sentence: obsessive drinker, deteriorating rapidly, hopeless. The doctor used to talk about my case somewhat like this. Yes, Bill has underlying personality defects, great emotional sensitivity, childishness, and inferiority. Sound familiar? That's me in my 40s. All right. Now, see, the thing is whatever age you start drinking is where you kind of got emotionally stunted at. I started drinking at about 12, 13. Can't quite remember. So we're going to go 12, 13. And emotionally, that's how old I was. You know, when you're 35 and throwing yourself on the ground and throwing a hissy fit because you're not getting what you want, it's not really maturity. Right? I was childish. I was very sensitive. Oh, you asked me the wrong question, I would rip you a new one. It would come out as anger. Because it was the one emotion that I had that I know would shut you the fuck up and get you to leave me alone. All right? Sound familiar? Maybe you didn't, maybe it wasn't your anger. Maybe you went the other way and cried. Right? Yeah. Amber says, I do what I want. You know, we alcohol and that, and I know you're joking about that, but in a sense, that's exactly what an alcoholic is. We alcoholics always do what we want, including in recovery. You're still doing what you want. It's just now you found a better way. My wants are always fulfilled by God because my will is in line with God's. So I quite often get what I wanted. Just today it happened. I wanted somebody to be fired from it, not only because nothing was getting done, man. 3 years working with this person, not one thing has been done. And I was talking to this person, get them fired, or at least get them out of there, get someone else. Maybe a different area for him would be better. But it was already done. See, I got what I wanted. And it isn't anything personal. It's that is blocking us from helping alcoholics. And no, that is not going to be okay with me. Just because you're the director of a detox does not give you a right to block people from the support that they need. Yeah. Hey, got what I wanted because my will is in line, right? Leisure says self-will driven mofo. This very real feeling of inferiority is magnified by his childish sensitivity, and it is this state of affairs which generates in him the insatiable, abnormal craving for self approval and success in the eyes of the world. Still a child, he cries for the moon, and the moon, it seems, won't have him. That line hurts. It reminds me of my childhood. My childhood hurts. It's a form of my trauma, right? I was always asking God for unreasonable things. Things that aren't even in my purview. You know, I did everything that I could to have people, you know, craving that self-approval and success in the eyes of the world. I don't know that I really went after that. I did go after other things. I knew I wasn't going to get your approval. After, I never got my parents' approval. Nobody ever really gave me approval. It isn't until recently that a lot of that changed. But it changed because I changed. That's what happened. I had to become a different person. I had to learn how to become the best version of Dion that I could be every single day. Every single day. Right? Discovering, and the doctor's still talking about Bill here. Discovering alcohol, he found much more in it than do normal folks. To him, alcohol is no mere relaxation. It means release from inner conflict. It seems to set his troubled spirit free. Oh, I remember this part. Woo, low. I was 13. Got invited to this party. And I'd already been kind of drinking. This wasn't my first drinking experience, but it's funny because I started by drinking alone. I did. I drank alone from the very beginning. And my mom would come home, she'd go upstairs, she'd drink enough until she passed out. After I put the kids to bed, I would go in there and I would take a beer, and I'd go downstairs and I would drink the beer and have a chew just like an adult would, because that's how I saw adults act. And I'd watch Taxi and MASH and I'd go to bed. Did that for a long time. So anyway, so I go to this party. All right. And I remember the first thing I was thinking, I'm like, these people are lightweights, because they had like 2-3 sips and they're all, oh. I think I was on like my third beer. My second or third beer. And that's kind of when things changed. See, this situation wasn't new for me. I'd been around drunk people all my life. So I, suddenly people loved Dion. And it changed my entire, the amount of peer pressure. And it wasn't peer pressure, but just being accepted by my own peers finally. It was a release for me. I had a lot of conflict. I was a bedwetter till I was 11. I had speech impediments. I'd gone through surgeries. I had a lazy eye. Still got a lazy eye. Wasn't until about a year ago it's really started coming back here. If I look this way, you can't tell. I don't give a fuck. I used to be able to go and it'd straighten it out, but I don't shake my head that hard anymore. I'm too old. I'll throw something out. Throw something out, right? But yes, got it. Jesus fuck. How many times you got it? I swear anymore when you make an appointment, it's like every day. Just letting you know, they called me this morning. I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. There's another one. Just a reminder. Okay, fuck, stop. Don't stop blowing up my phone with your stupid reminders. It's not convenience. It's irritating. Anyway, so I thought I'd found the answer, man. And you weren't going to be able to tell me any fucking different. I tried everything to be accepted in this fucking world. It wasn't until I became an alcoholic that I actually became something. And then they wanted to take that away from me. All right, let's get back to some more of the reading. The doctor would then go on, seen this way, we normal people can picture how such a compulsive habit can become a real obsession, as indeed it has in Bill's case. Now, what would I do? I would chase that moment in time for the rest of my life, the rest of my drinking career. Never ever to find it again. Never to find it again. I didn't understand something at the time. You cannot experience something new twice unless you have amnesia. You won't get the same feelings. You won't get the same elation. But God, I fucking searched it. I searched high and low. I searched under crevices. Everywhere I could go, I would add things onto it. I would try this instead. Like not eating. Oh, there's a pork chop in every beer. Towards the end of my drinking the second time around, I hardly ever ate. You want dinner? I'll tell you after this beer. No. That means no. It was just I just thought I was fooling people or whatever, right? Once he arrives at the obsession point, alcohol overshadows all else. Even at that young of an age, alcohol was on my mind constantly, all the time. I'm like, oh, we need to get together and do that again. Everybody was like, yeah, what if we get caught? I'm like, you fucking pussies. Come on, get caught. It's half the fun, getting away with not getting caught. And that next summer is what I call the summer at Jim Beam. We had there were some kids. They were about our age. I had two older brothers, and we had met them, and their father was a state patrol, and he had. I'm putting this in quotations for those that don't look at the camera or where it's just because I put some of this stuff where it's just audio, where he had confiscated a bunch of Jim Beam. It was stolen. He took it. It was like evidence, whatever. So we stole it from him. I remember that even my older brothers, who should have been more experienced in all this, couldn't drink as much as I could. They started acting stupid a little, and I felt like I was more mature than them. At this point, I kind of was. I was 12, 13, going on 40. I don't know how many times I heard when I was young, you got an old soul. You act a lot older. I had to. I didn't have much of a childhood. Right? That's circumstantial. I'm over it. There's no reason to blame my parents. Okay. It happened. I mean, how can I rag on my parents when I was an absentee father? Come on. Right? What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah. All right. Don't eat stupid crap, dumb cat. Once he arrives at the exception point, so hence he now appears utterly selfish and immoral. He will lie, cheat, steal, or what have you to serve his drinking ends. Of course, those about him are shocked and dismayed because they think his actions are willful, but that's far from being so. I, I, man, I don't. I may have did what I wanted, but what I wanted was to drink alcohol at any cost. That's what I wanted. It was the only thing I really wanted on how to get it. And man, I found a lot of different ways to get it. I came up with this idea called box of beer. You can't do it anymore. Sorry. Can't do it anymore. But what we did is we go to the grocery store and be like, yeah, our mom set us down to grab some boxes because we're moving. Oh yeah, just go ahead and go in the back. Remember, this is like mid 80s. Okay. It's like mid 80s. And hi, buddy. And so what we would do, oh yeah, here he is. Hi. You want to smell the microphone? You want to smell it? There you go. Yeah. And then what we do is see the good boxes were the alcohol boxes, and they almost always piled the boxes by the beer. So we grab one of those push carts. Thank you very much. We grab one of those push carts, and what you do is you put some boxes on the bottom, and you put a couple 12 packs. Can't do more than that. Okay. Pile more boxes on it, and you leave. And it worked great. It worked great until one day somebody got selfish and put like 5 or 6, and he's having to push this cart really hard, and they figured it out. That ended that. Fucking dumbass. All right. I just had to figure out new ways. All right. Leisure says, isn't it crazy the way that we would manipulate and coerce situations to give us a reason to drink? Yep. I would intentionally cause chaos. I would manufacture problems so that I could drink, so I could justify my drinking. And in the light of everybody else, it didn't make sense. But to me, it made perfect sense. And it was the only thing I knew. So that's what I did. Oh, you're just being so lovely today. Yes, you are. Huh? Yes, you are. Too bad you're a bully. Yes, you are. You're a bully. All right. He will lie, cheat. Of course, those about him are shocked, but that's far from being so. The real picture of Bill is that he is a bankrupt idealist, one who has gone broke on vain. You're so vain. I bet you think this song is about you. You know, it's funny. That song was about him. Yes, it was, Giddy, wasn't it? Right? A bankrupt, gone broke on vain, childish dreams of perfection and power, victimized now by his obsession. He is a little boy crying alone in a strange room, waiting agonized for mother or God to come and light a candle. And the thing is a lot of people in our life do try and light a candle for us so that we can see our way. But we refuse to see it, or we discount it. You know, now the natural thing for everybody is when we are angry, we will take it out on the person we love the most, because everybody has a fear of rejection and abandonment to certain levels. Everybody has it, right? But we alcoholics are extremists, so it doesn't just become unhealthy, it becomes fucking dangerous. I know you know who sang the background vocals on Carly's set. I do not, Leisure. I do not. Was it Billy Joel? I'm guessing, and it's not. I was like, oh, I did that. My cat's like looking. Whoop. Whoop, Kitty. Why don't you fill me in on that? I could Google it, but I'm gonna let you let us know. James Taylor or the person the song was about. All right. Um, Heather says, I'm glad I'm not the only one who jumps to lyrics so consistently. It's a stimming thing for me. But I'll be in the middle of a conversation and just start singing because I like putting things to song. For some reason it matches in my head. I have to say it out loud. It makes me feel better. You know. So it's part of my stimming. No proof, but or I'm not diagnosed anyway, but I'm pretty sure that, I'm sure I'm a little autistic somewhere in there. So I don't know where the stimming comes from, but that's the only thing I could think of. So to come light the candle, I must confess, Mother of Jay, that I may have put some of these words into my doctor's mouth, but that's the alcoholic life as I have lived it. Mick Jagger, that's not surprising. And it's just a shot away. I mean, see, that didn't work. It's just a shot away, yeah. Whoops, I'm clicking the wrong things here. Where am I? There it is. Okay. Mick Jagger. That's interesting. I did not know that. And I don't think I ever would have guessed it either. Have you ever seen I don't know if it's a commercial or a skit. Maybe it was in a movie or something, but Mick Jagger goes into this music store in like Mexico or whatever, and he can't convince them they've got an illegal record of his, and he can't convince them that he's the lead singer because he didn't look like it anymore. He didn't look like that anymore. A pretty good skit. All right. Um, did I, an alcoholic, have a defective character? Of course I did. Was I an alcoholic, also a sick man? Yes, very. It's one of the things that separates this addiction, compared to other addictions. And this was actually something I had talked to the commissioner about earlier. Um, the difference between an alcoholic and addiction, because she was like, "Remember, this is opiate only." I know because I got the 12 steps and all that. But the thing is I can still help. Maybe I won't be involved directly, right? But but we're I was I was born sick. I was born an alcoholic, and I was talking to somebody yesterday, day before, and I guess science has proven it. So I was right. I was right. It just makes sense, man. I don't remember a time in my childhood when I felt like I was being dishonest, but I was. I was. I didn't know. I thought everybody did it that way. Right? What does that mean? It's not your fault. It's not your fault you're an alcoholic. We're still going to take responsibility for our actions, but it's not completely on you. You didn't know any better. Thing is, with alcoholics, we once we find that alcohol and we're relieved because we're tortured. I grew up for the most part with two brothers and a sister, but sometimes it was three brothers and a sister. He only lived with us like 3 years. My oldest brother, Richard, right? They all grew up in a much different household than I did. Just because I was different. It was the same household. Okay. But when we got alone, the man that raised us, he treated me much differently when no one was around, when there weren't any eyeballs watching. He acted much different towards me. And I'd tell other people about it. They just wouldn't believe me. They wouldn't believe me. So, hey, Lori, opiate only addiction is addiction. Them idiots don't know what they're having meetings about. It should be addiction based, period. I agree with you, Lori. But it was the abatement money. So I apologize. I probably should have done a better job describing that. So thank you for catching that, Lori. I appreciate it. And it's good to see you again. I love you, honey. And we did talk about what's his name and the stuff that you gave me. Great fucking resource, by the way, Lori. Great resource. I'm so happy you sent that to me because we're setting up new detoxes and we're going to copy exactly them. And because you told me what you told me, I was able to keep up with them. We're going to be doing what's called 3.7, which is medically managed. It's called a code, right? But what she was saying to me was, when it comes to the prevention and the recovery housing, the peers and the treatment, that their money can only go towards opiate abatement. And that's what I was trying to say. So I apologize if I made it seem some other way. Thank you, Lori. Appreciate that. Heather says, I can relate. My alcoholic behaviors were evidence as a toddler. Parents didn't drink, but that's because grandparents did. Yeah. When I was talking to the commissioner, she brought up a family member that died from addiction. But I already knew that. That was why she was in the field. I knew that. She wasn't in recovery, so that means somebody important in her life died, and so she's helping others to create justice to help with that. And she's a firecracker, man. I kind of wish I lived south because that's where all the good shit's going on right now in Colorado. Great job down there, by the way. I'm so happy to hear about some really cool things happening. Can't quite go over them all here, but so all right. To what extent was I personally responsible for my drinking? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to say all of it, that I got to be responsible for all of it. Right? So there's three things that I talk about that we need to be responsible for. One, I need to be responsible for my own actions. We all know that. I have to be responsible for my own feelings and create self-esteem so I know who I am, so I don't have to get my self-esteem from people outside of me. And then I also had to be responsible for my triggers. That was a hard one because my mind was like, well, yeah, but they did that to me. Well, that goes back to number 2, doesn't it? Oh, well, shit. Right? And I hate saying it, but it's true. Feelings aren't facts. They're not. Feelings aren't facts. I wish they were. I get a lot more done, but feelings are not facts. And I had to come around and learn that one the hard way. Yeah. So I'm not sure to what extent we got to take responsibility. So I'm going to be safe and go with all of it. Was it beyond my control? Is it beyond your control? And in this case, it doesn't matter if it's alcohol or drugs. It doesn't matter if it's sex, money, gambling. It doesn't matter. It's beyond control, right? Yet I'm the one to take complete refuge in the idea that I was a sick man only. So when we're taking refuge in that, what that can do is it can help us get to a point of acceptance that maybe we have a mental illness, that maybe we have an addiction, and taking refuge in it. That wasn't entirely my fault, but I do need to take responsibility for the things that I have done. Just like earlier when I said, yeah, I had a hard childhood, but that wasn't my parents' fault. It was my makeup. And beyond that, I was an absentee father. Who am I to point the finger at them when I got my own stuff to work on, man, that I had to settle? And I can't expect my parents to turn around and be different people. That, they are who they are at this point, you know. I don't agree with everything with my mom, and my mom doesn't agree with everything with me, but we don't let that interfere with our relationship anymore. And that's nice because now I got my mommy back. And so I do have to give some credit. She made my life hard enough to make me get sober when I was younger. So, yeah, it was tough to deal with me because whatever consequence you gave me, I didn't fucking care. I didn't care. I would skip school and they would suspend me for 3 days. I'm like, "Oh, I have to spend 3 days at home unattended. Oh no, what shall I do?" I'll tell you what I was doing. I was pulling weeds because I was grounded. I was doing but I'd rather pull weeds than fucking sit in school. So therefore, the consequence was not a consequence. It was what I wanted. Right. So, but what are you going to do? How can you how can you provide a consequence to a kid that doesn't see it as a consequence? See, my brain just it couldn't match, and they tried everything. I got to tell you, they tried everything that they could. It wasn't enough, and they had to put me in a psychiatric center, and I learned more there. So, in earlier years, I certainly had some degree of free will. That free will I used badly. To the great misery of my mother and countless others, I'm deeply ashamed. Man, this motherfucker's reading my mail. I did have free will at a younger age, but I wanted what I wanted too. So see, when I quit drinking at 18, there wasn't even a hangover. When I quit drinking at 45, I was jaundice. And if when I woke up in the morning, if I did not put alcohol in my body, it would kill me. The withdrawals would kill me. Right. And I never want to go back to that place again. I do not miss it. Do I miss the old days? No. I had them. I had some pretty great I had some pretty great times when I was drinking. Not all of them were bad. I mean, I partied with some pretty famous people, man. The Allman Brothers band. Yeah, got to party with them. We put down a very expensive bottle of tequila at Summit Road Studios. I met a lot of famous people there. Right. I don't even remember part of it because I drink a lot. And I pre-party before that too, But yeah, when I work with somebody else, um in the beginning, especially when I worked in detox, I would talk about, want to know hey Michelle, good to see you. You want to know the best gift that I ever gave my mommy? And yes, yes, I'm 54 and I say mommy still. I'm still a kid. I'm still a kid, man. I didn't get a chance. Oh, but what I was saying earlier about just real quick is I don't have to worry about those great old times because I have great times now. I have great friends right now. So I don't need those old memories. I don't need to go to that. I have a new way of living that works phenomenally for me. Right? Right? I don't know why this is coming up. Probably because I haven't seen Lori in a little bit. And, you know, in the beginning, because Lori, out of everybody here, Lori's been listening to me the longest. I've known Lori for 6, 7 years now. Yes, Lori, been that long. She was one of my first listeners. And most of the time I talked about PTSD. And she was the person that came to me and said, Dion, you got to stop being the poster child for PTSD. It's keeping you sick. Okay. Those are the kinds of friends that I have. Yeah. Disturbed, FFDP, and Slipknot. Spent time with them. Heather spent time with Iggy Pop. I yelled at Simon Cowell one time. We were, I had this girlfriend, and she was a phenomenal singer. I don't know why, right? But she had a scar or something here. There's something a little wrong with her face. It was a little deformed, and she's like, people need to be praying. I'm like, no, they don't. Look at Joe Cocker, man. I mean, come on, no. But it stopped her for anyway. We won tickets to the finals for American Idol season 2. Clay Aiken and Ruben stuttered. Ruben won, but Clay should have. Live, it was much different than on screen. Man, no, Clay kicked his ass. But we went to this after party, and since she won tickets, we had to do promotional shots, right? So I'm standing next to Simon Cowell, and he's just being a huffy dick. Can we get this over with? Are we ready yet? I've got much better things to do. I'm like, yeah, can we get this hurried up? I don't want to stand next to this asshole either. It's like I was inconveniencing by standing next to him. Do I need to make an amends? Do I need to track down Simon Cowell, make amends? No. But I can say this. Simon Cowell changed. He is a stand-up, cool-ass motherfucker now. I love him. He had children and he changed. See, people can change. Isn't that cool? Anyway. All right, we're almost done with this, and then we got to kind of wrap up. All right. As one who knows me a little, you may have learned how 10 years ago, a friend, himself a liberated alcoholic, came to me bearing the light, which finally led me out of the toils. That would have been Ebby. There will come a day like that for you and yours. I'm so confident as ever, Bill W. It was kind of neat. When I was meeting with the commissioner earlier, she said, and we're bringing in Oxford houses. And that's what got me. That's why I really liked her, because because she said we need different types of sober livings. Well, the Oxford group, and this is what I was able to tell her. I'm like, AA is around because of the Oxford group. We stole it. I told her, I'm like, we stole what we have for AA from the Oxford group. They've been around for 100 years and they're a great program. She's like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, now you know. And she was able to educate me on a lot of stuff too. A lot of people educating me this week. I appreciate that. My cousin, well, and then we'll end with this. My cousin took me to go party with those 3 bands, just celebrated 13 years. Yeah. Do it. I bet he got a lot from it because he changed. Yeah. I believe that people can change. I do. And that's actually one thing I had said to this commissioner, because I was talking about one person that's on the board of everything that committed Medicaid fraud. And we haven't read the daily reflection yet. We still got to do that. But people can change. Maybe this going through all of this will change their purview. Great. I'd rather have change than jail time. I would. I asked about a program. She's like, why'd you ask about that one? I'm like, well, I had my reasons. She's like, because out of all of them, that one's the one that, and she explained what she does. She's very meticulous and stuff. But, I told her, I said, I'm glad that I was wrong, because I would rather be wrong and find out that you're actually helping people on it. And that's what I'd rather have. So I can admit that I was wrong. So, all right. While drinking, I seem to vacillate between feeling totally invisible and believing I'm the center of the universe. Yeah, we alcoholics tend to think we're either a piece of shit or the shit. Oh, you're telling me to do my amends to do it? How would I get in touch with him? And he probably doesn't even remember. But isn't that a great excuse to track down like Simon Cowell, right? And say, I did, you got to contact me back. I need to make an amends, and my life depends on it. It's just more manipulation, right? So we go to these extremes and we tend to think we're one or the other. But really, God don't make shit. You're neither one of those. You are who you are. You're a vessel, you're a messenger. So searching for that elusive balance between the two has become a major part of my recovery. The moon I constantly cried for is, in sobriety, rarely full. I constantly cried for is, in sobriety, wait a minute, constantly cried for is, the moon I constantly cried for is, in sobriety, rarely full. It shows me instead its many other phases, and there are lessons in them all. True learning has often followed an eclipse, a time of darkness, but with each cycle of my recovery, the light grows stronger and my vision clearer. All right, all right, all right. My only Matthew McConaughey impression, because I can't do an impression of him. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And yeah, have a day.